Hey guys, it's Justin and Joe with Tuning Tuesday episode 49. Coming up on the big 50 here soon. So I guess first topic of conversation today would be SEMA, all the exciting new things at SEMA.
Opening day of SEMA Las Vegas. Kind of just talking about it, you know, kind of makes you feel kind of tingly.
Yeah, exactly. I saw some stuff coming through the secret pipes of stuff that's flowing into SEMA that people are just now able to post about.
Yeah, all the, you know, vehicle release launches and product releases and everything else, and getting hammered with those emails today and yesterday.
Hell yeah.
I mean, a lot of cool stuff. SEMA is like the big show portion of our industry, I guess. And when I say show, it's more showy stuff, but there's also performance products and
vendors and
more
everyone out there.
Technical things too. Our friends at Magnussen Superchargers got their booth out there. Friends at Roush Performance got their booth. I mean, there's a lot going on out there.
So yeah, Junior Carfield wants to know, why didn't you guys go to SEMA?
Well, basically we had a lot of other shit going on.
Yeah, we didn't have a contractual obligation to go this year, so.
We're building a car for the PRI show more than for the SEMA show this year, so it's just going to be at PRI. We decided to focus on Mod Motor Nationals, big race put on by a good friend of ours a week after SEMA, and on PRI, and sit the Las Vegas deal out. I mean, how many years have you been going to SEMA?
2 years. I went.
2 years?
Yeah, you and BJ were going for the 2 years prior to that.
Yeah, and I think Rebecca and I had gone since 2010 or so. I mean, like Rebecca and I went to SEMA with a newborn.
Oh man.
You know, we've done.
Has every kid been to SEMA?
Like the youngest 3 have.
Okay.
There was 1 year Rebecca skipped because, like, she was in school, I think, getting her nurse practitioner degree, so didn't work out. But yeah, we've been going hardcore for several years, and we just decided to take a break from it because you get kind of burnt out on it.
It's a lot of the same faces every year.
Stuff you can do by internet, telephone.
Yeah. Still fun though.
Yeah, and as you've noticed, we've really upped a lot of our internal efforts as far as social media and marketing and videos and stuff like that. So it's kind of a way for us to reach everybody without actually having to be in front of them.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool for us. Maybe, hopefully for you too. You guys can tell us if you like all the content that's coming across.
And while you do that, like, share, and subscribe.
Yes. Hey, I had some success with this weekend. So if you like if you're watching and you like it, actually, like, hit the like button, and if you're not a subscriber, subscribe. So that shit works. That's why all those YouTubers do it in the video. We do it too, but
yeah,
you know.
Speaking of YouTubers and like, shares, and subscribes, congrats to Garrett on the 1 million subscribers. I think that's last week.
Yeah. Garrett Mitchell, also known on the interwebs as Cletus McFarland.
Captain Bartleskeet himself.
Yeah, hit 1 million subscribers. And we recently sent over some Freedom Sticks and some other parts for his build in an upcoming video he'll be doing. So
nice.
He'll be making even more power with that VMP Gen3 Crown Vic.
And he's going to be pushing the stock bottom end still?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, actually, if I get my crap together and do more stuff with my GT500, I think we'll have a little, maybe a little competition going there. Who can make the most power without breaking their shit?
Aluminum block versus iron block.
Oh yeah, yeah. So
along that same line, we had another YouTuber here recently.
Yes, it's just a 6. Was it VMP last week?
Gavin.
Yes, yeah. His real name.
Yep.
I worked with him on the first day, and then you ended up finishing up the tune because I came in late. So we both got to be famous for a little while.
Oh man, I almost prefer to, like, be off camera.
Really?
That type of stuff, yeah, because it's like, I got other stuff to do.
Yeah, you got tunes to hammer out.
Exactly. But yeah, he was here, made some good power. I think he's releasing his video coming days / today, maybe,
Tonight.
I don't know.
Tonight
Okay.
at 8 p.m.
8 o'clock?
Eastern.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're curious about what power his car made on the dyno, look at that video. I don't know if he's going to have the final number in there, maybe like part 1 of part 2 type thing. But
So yeah,
Yeah.
watch the video for the numbers. And
I
then,
get.
special incentive.
nice.
Oh yes, there's going to be we partnered with Gavin on this deal to put something out there for everybody. So it'll be interesting to see how that does.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that we know what it made, but nobody else does, and they keep speculating in the videos and stuff. And
Good times.
I even led them kind of in a direction that well, it's at least more than this number. And in one of the videos I did over the weekend, but I don't know if they picked up on it. So we'll see.
We shall indeed.
But maybe some free merchandise for some of the people that came close in our comments.
Yeah.
What do you say, within 5-10 horsepower? What does everybody think? And we'll send them out a T-shirt or something, or a sticker.
Sure.
Okay, so we'll go through those comments and hit you up after his video drops. Carrie, I know I'm talking a lot, so
You're fine. I'm just trying to grab a bunch of these questions. For
Grab
you, 'cause
questions,
there
yeah.
are questions coming in. People are starting to guess horsepower on here now, as well.
So do you want to throw me and Joe some questions?
Yeah.
Should we make a rule that if you're to win anything, you have to be a subscriber?
It's a good point. You got to subscribe to win. If we're gonna give shit away, subscribe to our channel.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta stop saying the S word too.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
you have a lot of people guessing horsepower now. So to win the T-shirt, let's talk. Are we talking about people watching the show here or across all the social media channels over the last few days?
I think anybody that's commented on a VMP social media channel. What do you guys think?
Since we released the live videos.
Yeah, since we released it, that sounds like a good plan, Carrie. So how about we do within 10 horsepower they get a sticker, within 5 horsepower they get a T-shirt.
Okay. You got that, Max?
Without going over?
Max, I didn't whisper
Should we
your
do-
name.
Yeah, without
Price is
going
Right rules?
without going over. Price is Right rules.
$1.
Price
I
is
like
Right
it.
rules.
I like it.
All right, let's see if we can hit a few questions here. So Keegan Daly says, hey guys, I've been having a P2112 code for throttle stuck closed pop up while driving. Car idles rough and goes off after shutting the car off. Any ideas what's causing it? Twin 67 throttle body.
So I know that he's been running R-Tune and throttle body for, what has it been, about 6 months now?
He followed up with that and it says, seems to only happen after I have to pedal the throttle if I spin in second, third, or fourth.
Spinning in second, third, or fourth. Shoot me a log. I want to confirm that your throttle position sensor didn't go bad, because that code's usually indicative of a hardware fault, especially when it goes from being something that's completely fine to now it's throwing it when you spin.
And just so so everybody knows, when the computer detects certain throttle faults, it goes into FMIM mode and cuts power and makes that kind of rough idle, and then you just key off and key it back on, and it's good.
Yeah, so that when you see the wrench light in the dash, that's what that is, and it'll reduce power, reduce engine speed, everything in an effort to get you to pull the car off the road.
Yeah. The other thing too, the TPS issue, we found out that 15 to 17 are really sensitive to throttle position sensor being 100% correct, and it's not something you can adjust or really fix in the field.
Yeah.
And what's screwed up is 14 and older are less sensitive to throttle position sensor.
Yeah.
So we actually are coming out with a new throttle body that has factory 15 to 17 electronics on it, which have much better TPS functionality.
He came back, he just said, he goes, I just hit a raccoon and the car might be down, so it might be a few weeks before he can get you a log.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, just let us know when you get the car back in 100%. Dang raccoons. It must be a big raccoon to put your car down. From bumper off is one thing, but
Most raccoons are about the size of Eva, and I think you would just run them over. No offense to Eva, sorry.
yeah, they are a bit fluffier though.
I saw a raccoon crossing the road with the arched back. Mm-hmm. Rabies, and I saw a rabid raccoon down the street from the shop a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted to put it down. And I came back, and like the fire department was trying to get it out of a tree along with animal control and shit.
Oh man.
Here?
Yeah, down at the gas station.
Oh, over at the gas station.
Yeah,
Rabies running rampant.
That's what we have guns for, honestly, in Florida.
You know where there's a little off topic. Do you know where there's a lot of raccoons that you have to be careful of? If you go into Orange City, you know that Perkins there? In the back, I've seen as many as 10 to 15 at any one time back there by the back, you know, the back parking lot where if you drive around back?
Yeah. Ooh. By the racetrack and the Perkins and everything?
Yes, exactly.
Jesus.
I've seen as many as like 15 of them sitting there at one time. I took a picture of, this was like a year or so ago.
I mean, that's,
they're
man.
all lined up.
You got all the restaurants and the food and...
Well, I think people go back there and leave plates of food for them too, which does nothing but encourages problems.
Yeah, no, sheesh. Christy is watching us,
Christy
everybody.
is.
Our former coworker, Christy.
Oh, Atlanta.
Yeah.
I don't know, do we have an E85 pump in the Deltona area that you guys know of?
They built like 2 or 3 racetracks. They don't have E85.
Okay,
the V15.
Yeah, so we have to go to South Daytona for the race E85 from the racetrack there. So.
Did
Justin
you know that we're
Forrest
getting
was
a
asking.
Buc-ee's in Daytona?
Yes, I heard. And I brought stuff back from Buc-ee's in Texas.
Nice.
I don't think
Shout out to all the Texas peeps.
I don't think I brought anything back for you though.
It's
Sorry.
Okay. It's okay. If it makes you feel any better, I got brisket sandwiches before I went to the airport. Went to Buc-ee's and got some brisket sandwiches and
Nice.
some smoked turkey
Nice.
sandwiches for lunch.
How were they?
They're always good.
I saw them sitting on the the hot thing there.
Yeah.
Peter says, Joe, thanks for the nice tune on his car. Peter Dalkfist?
Dick Vilst, the Swedish guy, I think.
I'm assuming so.
Yep.
M2K20 says, so it's just a 6 picked up 100 horsepower from the blower swap?
Bum, bum, bum.
Well, we can put that down as your guess and,
See where
be
it goes from
eligible
there.
to win something.
Comments are flying in on YouTube today. Like crazy.
Carrie, is it better for me to hop on there and try to answer them?
I'm okay right now, but I have a bunch of questions I'm going to give you right now. So Daniel Lopez says, hello guys, before I ask my question, wanted to say that I really like the show. Keep it up. You guys are the best. Will I be able to pass California smog with an 18 Manny, a Roush cold air, and an E85 tune?
As long as all your monitors are active, you should have no problem passing. I would definitely suggest not having E85 in the car when you do the smog test. I don't think they do a sniffer, and I don't believe doing anything with a sniffer would cause pass-fail with E85 in the tank, but just as kind of like a precautionary thing, run it on 93. Make sure all your monitors are set and go for it.
David Warden says he needs some help with a 2012 GT. Currently has a Boss 302 manifold. If I intend to use the GT500 injectors, do I need the spacers that we sell as well?
Yes, you do, or our fuel rails, which will look a lot nicer with that Boss intake.
True story.
Dirty D says he wants to know why is it taking just a 6 so long to post a video.
Hey,
I was hoping to talk numbers on Tuning Tuesday.
It's his car and his story. We can talk him on next Tuning Tuesday because they are freaking awesome.
Slab Shack says, how much does SEMA benefit companies?
I guess it depends on how well you represent yourself out there and how much your target audience is there.
What were those like prom and stuff like that you went to for in high school?
You're talking about like homecoming queen and king type stuff?
Yeah, I don't know. Like SEMA's like a big glitzy, shiny show. And I mean, there's it's always good to talk with the people in the industry and get to see new parts and pieces in person, but there's just so much you just run yourself ragged. Like you make a list and you try to hit it and it's tough.
Yeah, I think Alex and I got about through 90% of it
Jesus.
last year. Yeah.
Did
Talked to a lot of people.
Yeah,
A
wow.
lot of people.
Ryan Barstead says, hey Joe, thanks for getting my tune straightened out.
No problem, buddy.
Dirty D wants to know why we can't release the numbers for the blower.
What blower?
I think he's probably
It's
talking
just
about
six.
just a 6 and why we can't release the numbers yet.
Because he has a YouTube channel as a method by which to provide for himself. And part of that is the hype surrounding numbers that come out. So we can't really deprive someone of their living because we want to say numbers before they're ready to.
Very eloquent, Joe. Very eloquent.
Well, trying, man, because like they don't
I mean, we would
understand.
love to let you know, but really it's his story and it's his car, so he needs to let you guys know.
Yeah, I mean, if it was like someone that didn't have a YouTube channel, we'd let you know. But if it's something that could potentially impact his income, we'd prefer not to.
Eli says, I have methanol injection because I was on 93, but I'm on E85 now. I need money for a bigger fuel system. Does an E85 car even need methanol injection? Thinking about selling the kit if it's not 100% needed. Have Cooper drive the Vic so that you can win. He's talking about Cletus Cooper.
Yeah, I think he's talking about Garrett.
Yep.
So, in my opinion, if you're running methanol on E85, you're kind of you're doing two things when you only really need to do one. You could either do 93 and methanol. I usually don't see that work quite as well as just running E85. Or you could do just E85, no methanol. If you're just looking for some additional cooling to happen outside of the cylinder, you could do some methanol injection. But I don't see a very large benefit to it unless you're having problems keeping air temps down.
I mean, like Joe was saying, most of our street strip combos, they're just pretty happy on E85.
David Murdoch says hi. Sean
David.
Butler says hi, Joe.
Hi, Dave. Hi, Sean.
Cy Lee says, what are we guessing on?
Oh, Cy, what's going on, man? We did a blower swap on a 2016 GT last week.
Yeah, 16 GT.
I encourage Cy to watch our YouTube channel because he really hadn't seen much of it. So now bring you up to speed, Cy. Had a Roush blower with a 72 millimeter on it, E85 and long tubes. We baselined it, and did we put the baseline numbers out there?
I know that the baseline numbers are in
The video.
our video, but I don't know
Yeah.
if they're out there on the live
Okay.
stream stuff.
Yeah, so,
The baseline, I believe, is on the live stream.
so it made in the 700s, and then we went and swapped a VMP Gen3 on it, and it made a lot more. And just to put it in perspective, we did a 79 millimeter pulley on the Gen3.
Yeah, so even Tom Lewis says 762 was the baseline. So he watched our videos.
Nice.
Jonathan Whitaker says, hey guys. David Murdoch says
Hi,
hi.
John. Hi, Dave again.
And he says that instead of 87 octane, all stations should sell E85.
Fact. I believe that they only have, most stations only have two tanks, an 87 and a 93, and then they blend for the 89.
Wow. Okay.
And I think that's what happens when you have a single handle. But I think the ones that have multiple handles are actual
okay.
multiple tanks.
Okay.
But yeah, I want that too.
Melvin says hi from Puerto Rico, and Big
Hi,
Daddy
Melvin.
Trucker says, what's up, fellers? With that said, Topper says, thanks for the ghost cam tune, Joe. Got an awesome screw blower idle that sounds rad when it's idling now on a 13 GT500 Mr. Stroker.
Oh, okay. I'm like, cam tune idle. Like, what? When did I do a cam tune idle for someone? But no, GT500.
Dave says he'll be back in January to tune with only 110.
Nice, nice.
The Red Line Riot says, I have a 2012 Boss 302. At certain RPMs, it shifts into fourth fine and feels like it's going in. And other times it feels weird going in and sometimes grinds. Is that because of the clutch?
I think so. The Boss revs really high, and I when I had a Boss with a stock clutch, the pedal would go dead sometimes at high RPM. You just have to pump the clutch till it comes back, and it has to do with the pressure plate and stuff.
And things.
Yeah, yeah.
It's funny. I love when people answer our questions for us because it
It's
kind
so
of
nice.
It kind of is because it shows they pay attention. So
The key is, are they answering
We're
correctly?
being asked what's better manifold, Cobra Jet or the 18 intake manifold, and Dorian answers that they're both on YouTube. Go look.
Yeah.
We had a question in a similar vein about gains from a bigger throttle body on a stock manifold. So he's got a first-gen Coyote, so it's 11 to 14 stock manifold, which is just garbage. The power falls off at 6,500 RPMs. I don't care about the few foot-pounds of torque down low. If the stuff don't make power up top, I don't want it. But the throttle body question is somewhat of a serious question when we start to look at all the manifolds. Some of the research and information we're getting into is that if the manifold was designed for a larger throttle body originally, like the Cobra jets or the GT350 or the upcoming Bullet throttle body, then there may be some benefits from a matching larger throttle body, especially on 18-up engines, because those have the best heads and cams we've ever seen. Not so much necessarily on the older engines.
Or, like you were saying, if you have something that came with a single 80 or a single 85 millimeter throttle body, upgrading the throttle body size on that intake manifold does not mean that you're going to gain anything.
Yeah, because it necks right down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it can cause tuning problems and stuff like that. So I think we need to, keep it practical with manifolds that were designed for a larger throttle body to begin with.
Yeah.
Northwest Horsepower says, I have a first-gen Coyote and was wondering if there would be any real gains from a bigger throttle body on a stock manifold, and of course paired with a revised VMP tune.
Same, along the same vein, no.
Poor Boy 313 says, what's good, VMP? Watched your videos on the custom headers from Profab. My question is about the headers. Why are the headers coming out the front sides? You're not going to run turbos. What's the benefit?
Well, I think I was teasing Cy Lee over the weekend with pictures of the headers, because he's a turbo guy, and hey, look at this, what's going on here? And Cy eventually determined that the primaries in the collector were way too big for a turbo car because they would slow down spool. But just different strokes for different folks, I guess.
All that weight reduction, man.
Yeah.
You don't got exhaust going all the way out the back.
Talk more with Rebecca about it on Burnout Box. It was kind of her design and her vision, so she can elaborate a lot more. That'll be Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern.
It makes changing steering shafts really easy.
Among other things.
Joshua says, always loving your show, learning new things all the time.
Awesome.
LX347 says, any tuning with the Hellion mid-mount kit yet? Thoughts on mid-mount setup on S550 as compared to typical turbos mounted in engine compartment?
I personally like mid-mount setups. Haven't tuned any of the mid-mount Hellion kits yet, though.
Bring us one, we'll tune it. I mean, I'll talk about mid versus front mount turbos, if that's a thing now, I guess.
Yeah, I guess front of engine mount turbos.
Yeah, my first turbo kit that I built back in 2001, 2002 for my V6 Mustang, I was impressed. Somebody asked about my V6 Mustang in that Dude in Blues video. Like, so he really had a V6 that ran 10s? To see if I still
need to
have that
repost
video.
those videos.
Yeah. My first V6 turbo kit had them up front. My second one had them mid-mount because people have actually been doing that for years. Incon did that.
Incon did that with Fox bodies, with cast manifolds and everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, it's how the OEMs do it. Wait till you see them in the valley of the engine. That's some sick stuff.
Like what Mercedes does and what Audi does.
Yeah, technically even the new diesels are that way, the 6.7 Ford diesel.
Yeah.
Redline Riot says, thank you guys for answering his question. He's the one with the 302. He says, I just bought it, and since it started doing that, it makes him wish he bought a S550. But he'd rather have the Boss because of the rarity. Also, what's the best performance mods for a Boss? Will be going with us when he gets a tune for it.
Tune, cold air are about the best things you can do to a Boss. If you're doing the basic stuff, if you want to go next level, it's headers. From there, it's cams. Octane's your friend.
I've got some used headers I'd be willing to sell you too, for make you a deal. It's just
the Thorleys.
Yes, the Thorleys. I pulled them out of the attic. Yeah.
We got a lot of stuff we should probably sell.
Yeah.
If anyone needs a TCI 6X with a mod motor bell housing and a fast controller, hit up Justin. It's basically a 4L80 that's converted to 6-speed by TCI.
I got to see if that
big old converter and stuff.
I got to see if that sold on eBay or not and relist it if it didn't sell.
Yeah.
I see we're getting a ton of likes and love right now on Facebook. So whoever's giving us the love, please keep it up. We appreciate it, and be sure to share across the board as well. Tony wants to know any word on the ice tanks for 16 Mustang GTs.
We did some test fitment stuff a week and a half ago. I think they're gonna tweak a couple things and then off to the fabricator, off to coating.
I actually think they're at coating now.
Oh, nice.
So they actually should be back in the next week or two.
Nice.
Yeah, we got like 15 or 20 of them. We stocked up on them. We have a new supplier that actually like makes shit in a timely fashion. So
Diggity daffodil.
Sorry, I used that S word again.
Larry from New York says hi.
Hey,
Chad
Larry.
Dowd says, hey guys, just bought myself the VMP 3/4 race cam. Very pleased with it. Hey Chad.
Nice.
The what?
The 3/4 race cam.
Oh yeah.
Did he do the stage 2, stage 3 stuff?
I think he sent me some logs about that. We're working on that. I'll take that out, Chad. Secret message accepted.
Let's see here. General Cigar says, have you ever tuned a twin charged engine? Does VMP make turbochargers?
We've tuned all of it, but to ask your question about making turbochargers, we generally focus on supercharger kits for V8 engines. There's a bunch of EcoBoost stuff we've dabbled in. I can't say that we're doing a whole lot with it right now though.
Yeah.
So Redline came back and said how much for the headers. Would you pair them with Roush axlebacks or Corsa Extremes?
Oh my gosh, do you want to have hearing anymore?
If you're doing non-catted headers, my go-to is 1112 GT500 mufflers or 1314 GT500 mufflers.
Yeah.
Not to say that there's anything wrong with the Roush mufflers or Corsa, but you just have to be prepared for a very loud exhaust.
Yeah, those two products were designed for a car that had stock cats on it.
Exactly.
And without stock cats, when you do long tubes, it just gets loud.
Yeah, Corsa Touring sound pretty good with long tubes.
But yeah, if you want to shoot us a Facebook message, I'll get on there after the show and negotiate.
You can also message us probably through YouTube as well. He's on YouTube. Mario says, send me a Gen 3 so I can run 8s.
Send us $39.99.
Should we get into the whole sponsorship versus partnership
thing
that you had posted on?
We'll save that for another show.
Okay.
But there's a little bit of clickbait in there, so I want to get them real interested.
Okay.
Real interested in our,
Topper wants to know, why is the Coyote so short in torque? Seems that way with the Voodoo also. Are they Ford Honda motor?
This just makes you want to cry. It's just...
Is he comparing it to 6.2 liter engines from other manufacturers? Because why are they so short in horsepower compared to a 5 liter?
Even when you put a blower on them, they're short in horsepower too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because we're not building tractor engines? I don't know.
Because we have more than one cam.
Junior wants to know, do you do remote tunes, aka make a tune and send it to somebody?
Absolutely.
All day, every day.
Literally.
That's literally what Joe does all day long.
Joe and his team of 3 people in his office, that's boom, boom, boom.
We've been asked this like a dozen times throughout, I swear, every time we go live. What do you guys think about the famous tick on the 18s?
Google the mysterious ticking noise on YouTube. Like, no one in this room has to, but like all of you watching, Google the mysterious ticking noise and then let me know what you find.
There's something that YouTube like invented called ASMR.
What's that?
It's like noises and how they affect people, like positively and like relax them and stuff like that. Like I feel like there's like a, no offense to the ASMR people, but there's a spoof video there. You know, like, does the ticking put your baby to sleep or does it make your mind go crazy?
Oh man.
Wants to know, how do Saudi Arabian people deal with their pump fuel by chance? Do you know?
I don't know what you mean by deal. I know that there's some places over there that have 98 RON. I know that a vast majority of places are restricted to like 96, 95 RON. Some people run meth. I think there's better ways of achieving octane than meth for most supercharged applications.
Ian was telling us they're doing one-shot boosting.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a little bottle you can keep in your pocket and pour in there when you're filling up with fuel.
Exactly. That's
Oh my God, Johnny
that's what I
Mac.
would do. Do what?
Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, octane booster is what I'd do. I wouldn't try mixing race fuels into normal gasoline fuels or God forbid, mixing E85 into normal gasoline. But just if you're looking to boost octane, use an octane booster. A working octane booster.
Eli, who was asking about the methanol injection, says, I have methanol injection because I was on 93 but 85.
Mm-hmm.
This is the exact same question. He probably asked it from across the board.
10-4.
You're getting some. Keegan, Mike. James says, the intake manifold shootout with the 2018 ported intake, anything above 7,500 RPMs when the intake power falls off, will that also provide MAF signal to drop drastically as the power falls?
That's a really good question, because on a boosted car, if the pulley slips, the MAF signal drops off.
Yeah, but on a naturally aspirated car, as engine speed increases, you're still physically flowing more air. It's just how efficiently the engine's making power that can cause power to drop off. So like on a naturally aspirated car, for example, with the S550s, when they stop making power at 6,700 on the stock manifold, MAF frequency doesn't start dropping, it still increases with RPM.
It's a very slow rate.
Exactly.
I'll tell you what does tell you though is load. If your mass air transfer function is correct, your load should show the efficiency of the engine and the power.
Yeah.
M2K20 wants to know why you dislike meth injection so much, Joe.
Because I feel like people think it's this magical thing on supercharged 5 liters and supercharged 5.4s. And with where people are injecting it in those engines, it's not. It works fine to reduce temperature, but I don't see a very drastic effect in octane.
I think weird shit happens to it when it goes through the intercooler personally, and it probably changes back from you know, it probably doesn't make as clean of a phase change as it needs to burn really well in the chamber.
He came back and he said, so much positive feedback for PD blowers and meth injection, countless 9-second TBS cars running 9 seconds.
I wouldn't say it's countless, it's 3. I'm very familiar with that list, so that's 3 that are 93 in methanol injection, compared to a vast majority that are running E85 or race gas and doing so well.
Peter says, I have an 11 Shelby GT500 with a VMP Gen2R. My rear axle has started to whine really bad. Do you guys have any parts that could sort that out?
We have diff rebuild kits. Did he say he did suspension and now he's getting a whine really bad?
Just a Gen2R and it's getting whine. So new set of basically a gear install kit and a new set of gears and a true track while you're in there, because that torsion will break. Like an Eaton 31 spline true track, we sell them on the website. And proper installation, somebody that knows what they're doing, and you know, that rear end will be as tight as it can be. But with a high horsepower car, it's
tricky.
It's always going to have some noise.
Yeah.
Einar says, hi guys, I want to ask if the new Gen 3 has any negative over the Gen 2R from drivability on a stock 2 Gen Coyote. Also, if the Gen 2R gives faster response on the street considering less displacement.
I wouldn't say that the Gen 2R is more responsive than a Gen 3. I'd say that the way that a Gen 2R builds boost is different from a Gen 3. I wouldn't say there's any real disadvantage to running the 2650 compared to the 2300.
It's not like it drives different per se.
No.
Other than making more power.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at dyno graphs of the two laid over each other like at the same peak boost value. So, but the way Gen 3 makes boost at a higher RPM, you'll see Gen 3 be at a higher boost level than it is at the start of the hit. And typically with Gen 2R, it makes within 1.5 PSI from the hit all the way to peak RPM. So like
Gen 3 will pick up a couple pounds throughout the curve.
Whereas Gen 2R is kind of like flat, but
Yeah.
that's...
But Gen 3 is more efficient, so it starts making more power by 3,000 to 4,000 RPM and all the way to red line.
Yeah.
James says, I shifted over the weekend at 7,400 RPMs on a shift light. By the time I reacted, I was about 75 plus. Went back and changed shift points to 7,600 RPMs and lost 5 on a quarter-mile run.
Nice. I don't know whether that's 5/10 or 5 mile an hour, but I assume you're happy about it, so nice.
Ryan says, would the 6R 140 found in the Super Duty trucks be an option for guys making upward of 1,000 plus horsepower in their Mustangs using the factory computer?
Not that I'm aware of. If it's anything like the 4R100 and the 4R70 and 4R75, there's a lot of parts that aren't compatible between the two. But I don't have any specific experience with the 6R140, you said?
Yeah, the diesel Super Duty trans. Yeah, I don't, it's probably too big for the tunnel and probably too heavy. I mean, 6R80s live at some power levels. Look what, look what everybody's doing with the clutch and intermediate shafts, and then what Brett LaSalle is doing, and power by the hour. I mean, I know we're going to be looking carefully at that 4R200 for some playing around here in the future.
Dirty D says, can you go over all the mods Gavin has? What does he have for exhaust, throttle body, intake? Does he have cams? Are 331s the best gear for that power level on a manual?
Yes.
331s are probably the best gear for a manual, depending on what you're doing with the car. Mods, headers, a PBD twin 68 throttle body, no cams, stock compression, E85 ID1300s, Gen 3 79mm pulley, and ATI 5% lower. Corsa, I think it's a Corsa catback.
Corsa, it was loud.
Yeah.
Dual GT500 pumps, and that's pretty much it.
Yep.
He put some like better bolts and stuff in the motor, but it's still a stock motor.
Yeah, and I think it was only head studs.
Head studs, I think rod bolts too or something.
He may have, but for what it's worth on that GT500 fuel system front, where he's at now, he's at the limit of what that fuel system will support.
Oh, so you're gonna throw that out there that the fuel system is close to maxing out, because that could be a hint for the horsepower number.
Oh, it could be, but I also don't want the people messaging me a month from now that said, oh, I watched the video and this guy made this much power with this fuel system, and it's like,
I want to do the same thing.
Yeah, and it's like, oh man, oh bother.
So James came back and said he'd lost 0.5 on quarter pass going from a 7400 shift to a 7600 shift, and that's also where the math fell off on the log.
Interesting. Very interesting. I'd have to see the log.
So M2K20 says 69mm with on E85 stock throttle body and Roush intake auto on a 17 GT estimated horsepower to the wheel. Does that make sense to you?
No, you're gonna have to repeat that.
I'm just saying it the way he wrote it.
Yeah.
69mm, E85, stock throttle body, and Roush intake on an auto 17 GT. Wants to know estimated horsepower to the wheel.
730, maybe as high as 770.
Joe, are you getting the truck ready for Mod Nationals? Justin, is your truck running too? If so, who's driving?
I'm not sure. It might just be me. I don't know. We'll see.
I am getting my truck ready for Mod Nationals.
And yeah, Joe's getting his truck ready.
We actually had a couple people asking about the trucks.
Nice.
Beards
Truck
and
Trucking
Cars wants to know, is your Gen 3 upper compatible with the Kenne Bell lower to just switch out uppers like we do? Or does he have to switch out the whole setup?
Whole setup. There's a lot of things that are different, and that, you know, we basically tried to make better too.
Oops. Sizing. So Dirty D says he was the one that was asking about the California exhaust earlier items. So he says Cali doesn't do a sniffer, but if they plug it in and the computer picks altered programming, it'll red flag you and send you to a ref. Just go back to stock tune before getting anything smogged.
Tenfo?
Einar says, is the design of the Gen 3 so much more efficient that it is always a better choice both on stock motor and, of course, built motor?
Yes.
I would say for most practical applications, yes. I'd say that if you're looking to do some really silly stuff where underspinning the blower, maybe the Gen 2R's a better bet in some of those situations, but for 99% of what we see come through in terms of what people's horsepower goals are and what they're wanting to do with a car, the Gen 3 is the better blower.
Like, let's say you were trying to build a stationary Coyote engine with a supercharger for electrical power generation, and you needed to run like 6 pounds of boost just to get that, you know, I don't know, 50,000 watts to run your whole block. then maybe a Gen 2R at 6 to 8 pounds would make more sense than a Gen 3.
Yeah.
You'd get that torque curve to that way when the generator head loads the engine down. I'm just speaking about theoretical bullshit, so.
Well, it's most of the people that are looking about the minutia between Gen 2R and Gen 3 are looking at that theoretical bullshit region.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So,
no, and I mean, like, the more, you know, data we can show and analogies we can draw as to what the differences in the technology are would probably help them understand that more.
exactly.
Like, we have an airboat guy. Airboats need the airboat still operates at like 4,500 RPM, right?
No, you're talking about engine RPM?
Yeah.
No, peak, you tune the prop to achieve peak power.
Okay.
So like the prop is what pushes back against engine speed instead of like
loads the engine. It's
Yeah.
a variable pitch prop, yeah.
Yeah, so you change the pitch on the prop and then you can change how much peak RPM you're able to achieve at a specified horsepower. So with airboats, you got to be careful with how they have the ability to add power because they can spin the prop too fast. Because the props have a peak RPM and then your engine has a peak RPM. So if your prop is set to hold the engine at 700 horsepower at 4,500 prop RPM, then, or not 700 horsepower, 7,000 RPM, and 4,500 prop RPM, then you add 100 horsepower to the engine, you can push the prop out of its operating window and potentially break a prop or hurt it.
Cavitate a prop.
Exactly, cavitate a prop. So with airboats, you kind of got to like lock it into a set power. Otherwise, you got to worry about changing the tune on the props.
Yeah, wow.
It's interesting stuff.
So we have about 10 minutes left, just to let you know, and we have a whole bunch of questions. And I'm going to ask our viewers out there, if you ask a question, ask it on one channel, not on both necessarily. I'm sitting here, trust me, I'm grabbing all your questions and putting them in a document so that we can get to all of them. But it helps us keep everything organized and make sure we get to your question if we don't have to read through it 5 times.
Yeah, we got a lot of fresh,
I
I guess some fresh faces and a lot of questions coming out of that, Carrie.
Yeah.
We still didn't have a chance to mention Texas Mile stuff and SEMA stuff.
Well, we hit SEMA. What else do you want to hit on SEMA?
We've got
some of the cars.
One of the VMP partner builds at SEMA. Stanceworks built this awesome hot rod. It's got a VMP Gen3 sitting on top of it.
I'll have to get pictures of the one of the Mustangs that we did a tune for a car that's going out to SEMA. It looked pretty awesome.
And then Texas Mile stuff. We want to talk about Texas Mile stuff. Do we have any supporting media, Chris?
I have a couple photos.
Okay. As you can see, I'm sunburned and I have raccoon eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So
And your hair changed color.
It did?
Yeah, it did.
Wow.
It's lighter in some spots from all that sun you got. You put lemon in your hair?
Chris and I were at the Texas Mile all weekend with We're Racing and Billet Pro Shop and Cy Lee Tuning and London Chassis Dyno, basically racing a bunch of GT500s and other cars in the Texas Standing Mile. And Jordan Weir ran 226 mile per hour in the Standing Mile. But
booking it.
what's almost more impressive is on an unprepped surface, he went 150 mile in the quarter from a dead stop, and then 190 in the half mile. And he did it basically back to back, one evening and then one morning. All those statistics ran right through him. So the car's making a ton of power. I think it's definitely in the top tier of GT500 mile cars at this point.
Nice.
Trying to get through some of these questions if you have time.
Okay.
Rapid fire.
Peyton says, what do you guys think of Ken Block's new Huna truck?
Looks awesome.
Seems pretty cool.
Chris says he's got a 17 GT MT82 car on 93. I'm planning on the long run to buy the Gen 3. My very next mod I think I want to do is comp cam stage 3 cams. Any opinions of different cams? I road course the car for time. Attack car will stay full weight. Thanks.
If your plan is to put a blower on it, don't waste your money on cams unless you're looking to string out the blower for every ounce of power you can get. I'd save that $1,500 plus install, call it $2,500 at least worth of cams and install on just putting it towards the blower, and then maybe doing a fuel system for better fuel like E85.
And like, I'm a little worried about if he's doing autocross and time attack, if he's going to lose torque with the cams. You know, the blower always adds torque.
Raheem says, I have an 11 GT. Is it common for the car to go into limp mode after installing a supercharger with a VMP tune? Can't get the wrench light to go off.
Excellent question. Something is wrong.
Yeah, it's not common at all. Typically with a wrench light after a blower install, I'd check the harnesses going to the throttle body. I've seen people swap the harness for
The MAF and
the MAF and throttle body, and then I've also seen evap. Someone messed up the throttle motor for evap connection. So I'd check all your harnesses. If possible, after you've checked everything and you've sent in a couple of photos of your engine bay, send us a data log after looking at our instructions, which if you haven't seen our instructions or videos on how to data log, and you're either thinking about picking up a tune, or you have a tune from us that you haven't data logged yet, make sure you check out those videos on how to data log and how to download your tune via live link, or how to set up live link and stuff like that.
Joe, that is another great reason to subscribe to our channel.
Yeah.
And if you like what we're doing, hit the like button.
So obviously one of the people that were asking about the truck was Dorian. So he wants to know, are they both going to be VMP Gen 3s? And Chad says, because he saw the comment, said, Dorian's coming for you, Joe.
Dorian already came for me. Dorian's already out there doing shit. They're both going to be VMP Gen 3.
Big Daddy Trucker says, you got the money, you can get all the horsepower you want. LOL. Big Daddy Trucker also says, you guys rock.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Nardi says, what is the equivalent of the pulley and boost in just a 6 blower to a Whipple?
Well, you've been down that road.
Yeah, I'd say it's the equivalent of like a
3625 or 375?
I'd say it's a 375 and a 20%.
Okay.
With the 79 and the 5.
I. Williams says,
actually
any
probably a
plan?
little bit less than that.
Oops, sorry, thought you were
So
done.
that would be like a 3.1, actually be a 3.0 and a 5%.
Yeah.
On the VMP. So if we equal that out, that's like a 3.125 versus a, if we take out the low overdrive lower pulley and just compare upper to upper, 3.125 versus do the math, 4 and versus like 3.25.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. You were saying, Carrie?
Sorry, I thought you were done before. I. Williams says, any plans to work with Magnussen for C7 applications? Might know someone who's a willing guinea pig.
Is that William Hunt? Mm-hmm. Oh, William.
Bring it.
Topper says pressure plate gets hot and the fluid in the slaves tend to not travel as far. Think of it like a braking system that is failing due to heat and boiling fluid.
Nice.
It's an interesting point, but the braking system operates at a way higher temperature and still functions pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, because with a braking system, you're shedding heat into the caliper, into the rotor, into the fluid, whereas with a clutch setup, the only real direct contact for heat you have into the hydraulic system is the small portion that the slave is contacting the pressure plate.
Now, people did used to say that the plastic clutch line running over the cat would get soft when it got hot and get a little more pliable, but I can tell you the frickin' braided clutch line didn't fix my GT500, or no, my Boss 302.
Yeah, the clutch fixed the Boss, not the line.
Junior says, will a set of 18 heads and an intake fit the Gen 1 and 2 blocks?
No.
Coyote Kelly says, hey guys, I love the show.
Thanks.
Nardi wants to know, what is the price going to be on the ice tanks?
It will be pretty much the same as our 11 to 14 ice tanks.
Street Motor says he's got a 12 GT500 with a VMP Gen2, 2.4 pulley, 10% lower, E85, 6R80 swap. He's doing a lot of closed street dig events. Any way to get the power down in first gear. It's on 331 gears, and the thing is crazy trying to put the tires down during first. I am running your tune on it right now.
Talk to Chad Dowd. He wins all the street races. Basically.
Yeah.
Mario says, sounds like the 11 to 14 all over again. Mine always had the tick. Never worried about it. Sent it in. So he's talking about the tick on the 18s, I guess. Mm-hmm. Johnny Mac says, how much power can I make on a 2-valve?
How much air are you forcing through it? Or nitrous, chemically injected air?
In general, you should just swap it for a Coyote.
Yeah, I mean, naturally aspirated, I wouldn't anticipate anything over 350 wheel on most setups unless you start getting into the exotic stuff.
He said 2-valve or 3-valve?
I thought he said 2-valve.
I think he said 2-valve, yeah. I mean, 350 wheel is camshafts, and that's a lot of work too, I think, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but you're still not getting to that exotic range of like what TEA was doing with their stuff, or
oh yeah,
that
like
type
the
of stuff.
heads and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like there was some bottom 9-second 2-valves out there, but they were completely built engines with a couple of exotic parts.
I mean, the trick flow heads are actually pretty good for the 2-valve.
They are.
But it's throwing money after a 2-valve.
I would still be curious to see what a 2-valve would do with TFS heads with the right cams in it.
Good question.
Because that whole article that L&M posted about if you use any PI spec cams in a TFS head or even the TFS cams, that they're not timed right for valve events.
Geometry.
Yep.
Oh, I'm going to order a flip bracket. Actually, I need to do that after Tuning Tuesday for the tensioner.
Poor Boy says, Joe, you spoke about the throttle body caused the cars to stall. Mm-hmm. Basically what described is what happens to my 13 manual. I didn't catch if there was a way that it could be fixed.
So which Porsche, where did we talk about stall stuff?
Maybe the failsafe.
Yeah, failsafe is different from stalling stuff. If you have any issues with stalling, message me.
Topper, who was asking about 2-valve, says his friend makes 700 on 2-valve stock with a on-3 kit, but that was with a Chinese turbo, with Chinese turbos.
Awesome, man. Sounds like he has some good octane available.
Brian says, what MAF do you suggest for running your latest blower on an 0304 Cobra? Any big differences between the slot style HPX and the BA3000?
Slot style. And then size it appropriately. Like the VMP 3500 is designed for suck-through housings, 100 millimeter. Mm-hmm. In that range, 110 millimeter. The other thing is we're going to have a whole 120 millimeter cold air for the 03 Cobra here in the next couple weeks.
It's gonna be magical.
So James McClellan said, shout out to Mike Whedon, because periodically Mike is behind the scenes typing to some of the people on YouTube. He says the VMP man behind the curtain helping get these questions answered.
There's a lot of questions.
And he says, and especially for helping me out with my 17 GT. He said, VMP rocks. Thanks, James. Kyle says, when are we going to see a VMP blower for the 18s? And is it worth the wait over the Roush blower, the current Roush R2650?
We are, we are working on something that will be ready next year. It is definitely worth it.
Mustang GT says, should I do anything to my motor to prepare it for the Gen 3 supercharger?
Change the oil, spark plugs.
Change oil and spark plugs.
M2K20 is coming back. He's the one that's talking about all the meth injection. He says the intercooler changes the meth into what? Please explain. If the meth is just cooling the charge, what do you think happens to it? Still gets burned in the chamber.
Yeah, but when it goes through a blower pre-intercooler, it gets heated up well over 300 degrees, and then as it goes through the intercooler, it gets formed back into a, we'll call it condensed state or precipitate, and then
It goes back to like 120 degrees.
And then has to go down and gets blown down into the base of the intake manifold. Has to make a 180 degree turn up, and then it hits another wall, and it has to make another 180 degree turn down to get into the engine. Whereas with like a turbo or a naturally aspirated setup, typically you don't have 180s into ports. You usually have nice laminar airflow all past the throttle body.
Yeah, you're going right into an intake manifold, not through a set of rotors and an intercooler.
Yeah, so to that same end, I think it works well from a cooling standpoint when you run it long enough, but I don't think it benefits the way that most people think it does from an octane standpoint in a PD blower setup. Unless you're running non-intercooled, in which case, cool, have fun, use it.
Larry Duran says, hi. Dave Murdoch is coming on, and he says, I want 1100 tires, and I'm going with the Gen 3 also.
And just to clarify on the methanol standpoint, it's an opinion I have based on testing I've done on the dyno and off the dyno. It's not a blind opinion that I don't have any facts or data to back up what I'm saying. I've done the testing with methanol. It doesn't work as well as people think it does.
Mario says, as far as power loss from spinning with the blower, is it parasitic drain any difference from the Gen 3 and the Gen 2R at similar boost level?
Absolutely, the Gen 3 pulls a lot less power. The 2650 rotors are very, very efficient, both in how they compress the air and how much power they take to do it.
All about that pressure ratio and drive loss, dog.
Yep.
Alex347CID says, thinking of adding Sneaky Pete NOS 30 shot to my 03 Cobra with a VMP Gen2 for cooling effect. Do I need a retune?
For 30 shot, get with us to make sure that we think there's enough wiggle room with where we're commanding timing to be and what you have available octane-wise, and we can kind of discuss that further. It may not be necessary, but I don't want to give you a blanket statement that says it's not necessary.
Nick Crush says, how effective is the traction control on the 15 plus and 18 plus ECUs? Is it able to be tuned for really high horsepower to be even comparable to closed loop traction control on a standalone ECU?
No, and
not with the tools that are available to us.
Yeah.
Maybe if we were the OEMs working directly with Bosch, we could work something out, but
a lot of that logic is in the ABS module, which none of the tuning companies will touch.
yeah.
Like our software and our hardware just doesn't access it.
Yeah.
Dave wants to know, is it cheaper to buy a short block ready to go or have his taken out and upgraded with rod sleeves, etc.?
It depends on who you're having doing it, how much they're charging to do it. In most scenarios, it's going to be cheaper to have it done separately as long as you do it smart. But if you can find someone that does it on a production level basis, it may end up being cheaper to get a short block done through someone that does them in 40, 50 number batches.
Slab Shack says, what gears were the GT500s running at the Texas Mile?
273s.
Okay, so Anthony's asking about Gavin's video. The best thing we can say is wait for his video to come out later this evening. And he is glad that we didn't clickbait.
Nice, nice, nice.
2SS RS says, any experience with L&M intake cams only on 11 to 14.50 or comp cam stage 3 cams?
We've done the L&M NSR, no springs required cams. Then he said comp stage 2 NSRs?
It is
Comp stage 3.
Stage 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Tough call. The L&M NSRs work pretty good. The comp stage 3s also work pretty good.
Tough call, yeah.
I've never A'd to beat them on a dyno on similar setup, so it's hard to say. The two setups, the L&M NSRs, I've done 2 or 3 of those. The comps, I've done 4 or 5, but I've never had them on like the same setups. It's been pretty drastically different boost levels, so I can't really say which is better than the other.
Carrie, I'm looking at the YouTube comments. What do you think about me running through those real quick and then us hitting the rest of the Facebook stuff after the show?
Sure. I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that are sitting here in the queue as well. And then most of everything is caught up on Facebook at this point.
Okay.
I say most, but...
Neil had a question about Dorian boosted F-150s, motor blowing, losing the oil pump gears. I mean, we've all ran off rev limiters before. You know, sometimes shit happens, I guess, and your oil pump gears shatter. So here's a good one. Topper Harley had a question about what's the most sustainable power on a 13 GT500. We've done a lot of those cars at this point, both with our Gen 2 R blower, the Trinity blower, and now our Gen 3. I would push that number up to 750 to 800 wheel on good octane, right? Joe, what do you think?
I'd say on E85, 800 wheel on a 93 base fuel. I don't know that I'd like it being over 750.
Yeah, well,
it just really depends on exactly.
Boostane.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you got boostane. So, the Mad Max from Canada, oil pump gears, probably a good idea if you're making 750 on an S550, 750 at the wheel.
Yeah.
And so we have done a little bit of tuning on the EcoBoost Mustangs, the 2.3. I've tuned a couple of them before, so if that's something you're interested in, just drop us a message with your setup and we can see if it's a supported combination. And I think that pretty much covers it. Okay, that's good to know, Neil, that fixed your vibration problem. So, Carrie, anything that 1 or 2 left that you want us to answer?
I'm looking here real quick. Mike says he has a Roush blown 16 GT, full bolt-on headers, and a booster pump, good clutch, and ID 1050s. He made almost 700 to the wheel. I'm going to a Gen 3 over the winter. He wants to know what is the cost of a swap.
Like if we're doing it type thing?
Well, and then he's starting to ask questions about Gavin as well. Bigger blower injectors. Did we guys sponsor him? That's all. You know what, Mike? Reach out to us, and if you want to make the switch, you can talk to our sales department and Cody, and we can see what we can do. You
can drive down here and we can install it, dyno tune it, everything like we did for Gavin, or we can ship you the parts. Both are an option. Our sales and support team can get that figured out for you. Cody's our shop manager, so he schedules all the shop work.
Exactly.
But, well, I think that's a wrap. That's a long Tuning Tuesday. A lot of questions. I'm glad we've got all the new voices here on the feeds.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
Final moments.
Yes, please.
Bum, bum, bum.
Hit the like button and subscribe, as Joe said. And we'll see you next time. Watch Burnout Box, 6 p.m. Thursday. Rebecca and Donnie talking about race car stuff.
And guys, be sure again to like, share, and subscribe. I saw a bunch of love coming in earlier. Keep it up if you want this type of content still.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.